AI is going to bring, well, first of all, we are in this age of, I would say, renaissance in education. Education used to be an elite, powerful thing that you had to get into and have a seat at that table. It was inequity at its finest. But now, ideas are free. You can take the online class, #1 class at Yale, for free right now online. There is access in a way that is so beautiful. That is only going to get better and better and better.
Welcome back to another interesting episode of the Curious Tycoon Podcast. This is where we explore ideas, innovation, and leadership of tomorrow. So today's guest is someone who is redefining how we learn, how we raise kids, and how we design education systems for the digital age, which we are literally in right now. So I'm not going to waste much of your time, ladies and gentlemen. Please let us welcome Abby Brody. Hello, Abby. Welcome to the Curious
Hi,
Tycoon
Chuck.
Podcast. How you doing?
Thank you, Chuck. Happy to be here. Great intro. I love that you're saying we're already in it. As I've always said, the robots aren't coming, they're here. And we got to rethink all of our educational systems. So you nailed it.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching X the other day, and Elon Musk was promoting one of his robots where something as literally, as easy as popcorn. He wants, robots now to dispense popcorn to people. So I'm going to start with that one, something like that. So when you see things like that, how do you feel?
So my job and the way I just look at the world is, how are we preparing our children for tomorrow? And I would say even today, our education system's building for yesterday's world still, the industrial revolution educational model. We're behind on catching up for today. So I like to even think about tomorrow. So that's a very cool question. When I see things like that, I think about, okay, in a world where a robot could make you popcorn, what makes you human? And how do we teach how do we educate the next generation to understand how to operate in that world where they can add value, impact, and understand the safety required in critical thinking that'll be required in a world where it's deepfakes. I mean, just think about the internet right now, right? How do children know what's real and not real? All these things. This is what education means today. So that is how I look at it. Like, how do we build schools for that?
Yeah. Well, pardon me for not even asking you who you are. So guys, pardon me for that. I just noticed I haven't actually introduced Abby to the podcast. So Abby, very great intro there. However, let's start with you telling us a little bit about yourself, what you do, your background, and what your daily life is like.
Yeah. So I consider myself an education disruptor. I have founded multiple schools that rethink how we look at educational systems. Then my own life got disrupted. That is the story I think of everyone I meet. I'm actually writing a book called The Odds Are Yes right now, which is saying, yeah, the odds are that could happen. And my husband and my son both got diagnosed with some of the rarest independent cancers in the world within 6 months. Doctors said lightning has struck twice. The odds of this are impossible, but yet there I was. And that experience made me realize that the stakes are high and we need to rethink not only education, but healthcare and all those jazz. But it made me step back and really have this epiphany moment that education needs to be personalized, and so does healthcare. So I actually am passionate about both those things. My career and expertise is in education. My advocacy and passion is definitely in healthcare. And I believe in this N=1 model. And that is just a scientific equation that means that number and the equation of what it takes for you to succeed as a learner or your genomic profile in healthcare is unique to every single individual. So since then, I've been on a mission to my son and my husband are with us and thriving. And I just want to help all of kids because I've been so lucky to have my kid here who statistically should not be here, but the odds are yes that he is. So I'm on a mission just to really help move along healthcare and education to serve our children, because children to me are everything. As cheesy as that
Yeah.
sounds.
Oh, honestly, Abby, yeah, those words resonate with me, and I really, really sort of sympathize with you. Obviously, well, you look very happy, and I'm sure your husband and son are happy, and I'm sure they're gonna live as long as they can, without any problems, without any sort of disruption to their lives. So yeah, this is from all of us over here in the podcast, sending you lots of love, lots of hugs, and stay strong.
Take it.
Right. Yeah, stay strong. Right. So let me start with some icebreakers, because that's how I usually like to start. Let's start with some icebreakers. AI and genomics that you touched on there. These things are becoming critical part of education today, whether we like it or not. Right? Where do you see the biggest opportunities and the biggest threats in applying them to learning?
Great question. So, in regards to opportunities, every day I see a new one. AI is going to bring, well, first of all, we are in this age of, I would say, renaissance in education. Education used to be an elite, powerful thing that you had to get into and have a seat at that table. It was inequity at its finest. But now ideas are free. You can take the online class, number one class at Yale, for free right now online. There is access in a way that is so beautiful. That is only going to get better and better and better. AI is going to help not replace our teachers, but liberate them and allow them to focus on some of the skills I mentioned earlier: grit, perseverance, critical thinking, the things that are these skills of the digital age, and let AI give every student a personalized coach that gives them lessons at their speed in their learning profile. And yesterday announced in their topic of interest, they could rewrite an entire textbook about hockey for your kid to teach them molecular biology. I mean, there are some very exciting things, and the answers are, and it's interesting. I know you're from Nigeria. Nigeria is a really good example of this. Nigeria has been using AI customized learning platforms, and they are doing fantastic. I mean, I don't want to misquote it, but it's definitely 2 times the rate of progress. I think it's closer to 5. There have just been such beautiful things that AI is doing for education and our teachers. Taking the bureaucratic load, the paperwork off, being able to customize and be in person and be able to do experiential learning, because all the rote tasks are now being taught by an algorithm that's suited to each child, allowing each child mastery and
Be.
the
Yeah.
opportunities. Now, it does get scary, of course.
Okay.
Everything new, the answer is we really don't know, right? This is the positive. Now, on the darker side of the question, we're just learning. One of the things that scares me the most, because I'm really into cognition and learning, and I love to learn how people learn, is the offloading of cognition that AI might have for our children. They're not doing the deep work. They're using AI as like really a thought partner. And I would even add, what scares me even more than that, an emotional partner. We're seeing a lot of kids
Yeah,
using AI as a mental health coach.
that's scary.
It's just scary. Now it's interesting, and I've written a controversial piece on this that I've since backed away from, because I'm learning myself along with everyone else. We know we have a litigation going on with Meta with an AI assisted suicide of a teen. That is happening right now. That AI taught the teen how to make a knot to hang themselves, helped the teen write the suicide note.
Mm,
All these things happen. Now, the one thing we don't have data on is how many, because let me be clear, the teen suicide rate has been out of control way before AI, and it's
yeah.
not surged since AI. It is what it is. AI is not the cause of the teen suicide rate. I wonder if we're going to see a dip in teen suicides. I wonder if kids are going to reach out to an AI that would never have reached out to anyone. We'll never know. So I am a true, I don't know the answer, but we have to watch both these things and reconcile these truths, because the real reality is AI ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Is improving as well. It's advancing. It's getting faster. It's getting, and honestly, it's now sort of in everything that we do. I find myself these days just, ChatGPT, cloud. all these apps, I use them now for just to optimize a lot of the processes that I use, even for my podcasts and for all other things that I do. So it's interesting. And I'm even looking beyond, these sort of early stages. What more can this thing do? And when you
Well,
look
one
at it,
question I have for you, now that you're optimizing, what are you doing with that spare time is the question.
yeah, what
Does it
probably on my
does it
phone?
give you more optimization or does it allow you more doom scrolling? And that's what we don't know.
Yeah,
Like, what are
yeah,
people doing with the cognitive offload of work? It's going to be, no one knows the answers. And anyone who comes on your podcast and says they know the answers, I would call BS on that because it's evolving so fast
real
in real
fast.
time. We all just need to be talking about it and making policy. And I find a lot of educators are putting their heads in the sand. And I would add also parents, right? I see a
Yeah,
huge delta between kids using AI, like they're 8-year-olds, and the moms and dad being like, not for me.
they're not.
And
Yeah,
that is a dangerous thing. When your kid has
yeah.
parents need to come
Your
aboard, we need to
your kid,
upskill.
your kid can have a whole new different mom and dad somewhere else in the world that is not that you don't even know about, which is scary. Yeah,
Scary. It's
which is
hard to be a
scary.
parent. And that's why on my website, I am very committed to helping parents survive the digital age, not just survive, but thrive. The number one argument in homes across America is screen time.
Yeah,
Number one, there's nothing that even come close to it. Like, it breaks families up. Like, this is a huge issue. So I believe that we are fighting the wrong battle. And you just kind of alluded to it. I don't think it's about screen time. It's about screen content. It's about
yeah,
what they're watching, not how much they're watching. Yes, how much they're watching should be monitored, but the focus on this, like, okay, the buzzer goes off and I've done my job as a parent is just stupid. We need to create digital fences to allow our children to live in this digital playground, which is a reality that they can't walk away from. Their jobs are going to be there. Their schools already integrated into
gonna
this
be there.
technology.
Yeah,
And their peer relationships really function over these devices for in-person meetups. So to take it away is really not an option at this point. And I'm just a realist here.
yeah,
We kind of lost where I was going with this, but apologies there. But I believe that we need to get parents up to speed on how to build filters on your phones, how to talk to your kids, educate them about deepfakes. So I have all free resources on my website on how
yeah.
to do this for parents to give it
Safely.
to their kids.
Yeah, that screen time part is really important because adults even spend a lot of time on their phones and their laptops, and it's crazy. And more than we've ever seen before, the numbers of time hours that people spend now on the screens, either on the phones or laptops or tabs, really really scary. But let's get into some education now, which is something that you are sort of a champion of as well. Personalized education and innovation, right? You founded the N equals to one movement, and this movement centers the individual in education. How do you define what it means to teach to one in a world built for many? How does that work?
You're right. The world is built for many because we really had no other way of doing it. An average teacher gets 30 learners in their classroom, maybe 25 to 30, and they all share nothing in common but an age. They're all 7. Now, on the developmental framework of what a 7-year-old is, first, boys versus girls alone. Like, boys are at an extreme disadvantage in education. We treat them like they're the same, but their cerebral cortex is growing at such a slower rate than girls to no fault of theirs. This is just biology. And that's why we see boys are the most to get in trouble, the first to drop out, the first to, we have a huge educational crisis with boys. For every one boy that's applying for higher education, 2 girls are. Boys aren't even applying. They want nothing to do with it. And that's, I think, a more reflection on the education system than really the boys. So going back to your original question is we can bring for the first time personalization and create educational based cohorts based on age. Now,
Yeah,
for the first time, kids like Sally, who maybe was absent on the day of fractions, and now the world continues on and missed that concept completely, can move at her own pace. So there are innovative models that I'm very excited about. Hybrid learning, I think, is the future, where students get one-to-one. So we know that one-to-one learning is the number one thing, right? Rich people get it, right? One-to-one tutors, they outperform. There's no learning mechanism more effective than one-to-one learning.
I would.
Well, guess what? We're running studies where AI is doing one-to-one learning with the student versus an in-person. The AI is knocking it out of the park. So let's give every student an individualized learning plan of the content that they're ready for in their learning style to get mastery across the globe. And then I believe the real magic will be allowing teachers to do what actually will matter in this world, which is the grit, the creative thinking, the creative innovation, the critical thinking, and the thing that's most concerning to Gen Z, the communication and interpersonal skills. We need
Yeah.
to allow more FaceTime, more group work, and that skill and drill of looking at a classroom, smart board now, right? And then taking a test means nothing. So let a robot do that better, to be honest, and let teachers do what they can't do.
Yeah, well, isn't it crazy that it seems to be going full circle as well? And that's really how the world works, isn't it? Communication skills used to be really essential, right? Until it became all about, presentations, this visualization and that, right? And now we AI and everything, we're coming back full circle now where, again, interpersonal communication skills are going to become important again. At least from what I've seen from lots of guests that I've had on here, we're coming back to that moment where you need those interpersonal skills, not just about sort of what you can do on the computer now, but your human interaction, because we no longer have too much of that. Does that make sense? Do you agree with that or not?
I completely agree with your prior guests, and the
Yeah.
research of just surveys of hiring managers confirm it. Their issue with their young employees has nothing to do with their lack of skill base, right? They have the skills or the Excel skills or whatever the technical skills are. The reason these kids are not thriving and the reason they're not hiring them has to do with their inability to have a conversation or know appropriate boundaries in the workplace. It really has more to do with how to work within a team versus
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah. Yeah.
So school
You
could
know,
be all about that. What would this, okay, so if you could do 2 hours and get all your academics at your level at mastery, what are the other 6 for? Could they have a garden and make their own lunches from
yeah.
farm to table every day? Could they build physical items? Could they do internships? Could they have pottery? I mean, what's really exciting, what I think the future is going to be in learning and why I'm so thrilled to be part of this is that what it opens. We've now been able to personalize learning by leveraging technology to double click on community. And
Mm,
schools are going to become specialized. There's going to be schools out, and you're seeing it now. I'm really into the micro school movement. I don't know if you're watching it, but like parents are starting their own schools.
yeah.
Yeah. It's not interests. Math-based ones in the middle of nowhere, ones that are just about ecotourism. I saw a school that a parent started on where they all live in the jungles. It's really kind of cool what it opens up if you can leverage AI to teach the basics, what can you do with the rest of the time?
Great. Right. I just realized actually one of the icebreakers I asked you was actually part of my main questions. But anyway, you've done a great job so far. Let's talk about the MIX program that you built. This is a hybrid higher ed alternative. What trade-offs and design decisions were hardest during that process? And what surprised you the moment it was launched?
So MIX stands for Make Your Experience. And this was my most ambitious and I would say favorite education project I've ever done, where we rethought that, okay, let's leverage technology and double down on community. So every student had an individualized course mix from the best professors in the field of that course at any university around the world while online, while living with us in a community of 150 learners with life coaching, entrepreneurship, life skill training, and experiential learning every week in the field where we learn those critical thinking skills.
Mm,
Okay, so launched it during COVID. So that was a learning experience right there. But I would say
yeah.
the hardest learning lesson that I learned is how much traditional higher ed would make sure I would never see the light of day. They found me very threatening, rightfully so. So my program was $11,000 a term versus 38 of my competitors on average. So they wanted me to die a quick death. It was hard because if you don't get accredited, you don't get the ability to get FAFSA funds and all the higher education opportunities that the government can give for student loans. So it was sadly, I had to close that program. But I still believe in its mission. And if you are an educator listening to this, I still believe it can be done. And I'm here to cheer you on, and give me a call.
Right. So you call it, did you say make your
Make your experience, meaning personalize education for your goals.
Okay, let's get into digital parenting and sort of the family systems, which I think just looking at you from the beginning, even from the back end when we were chatting, I can see that you're a very sort of family oriented woman. You're a family person. You have your husband, your son, and all that. So in this digital age, then, in this digital sort of age of what is it like? What does parenting work like? How do you help families to set boundaries with technology while still leveraging it for growth?
Yeah. So on my website at www.abbybrody.com, you will find October 1st, I'll be launching my entire digital parent playbook. Including in that will be the fence protocol. Now, fence is an acronym for building a safe fence for your child to live in this digital world that, whether we like it or not, we live there. Okay. F is for filters. Okay. So how do you filter? How, like those technical things that like we think we know. E is for, sorry, I got the E's mixed up. Educate. How to educate your child
Yeah.
on, deepfakes. C is check-ins. You do have to check your child's devices. How to do that in a way that you feel respectful, giving parents tools. Anyways, I could go on and on about the whole protocol, but it's all there on the website, and it has all the tools, and even N, which is probably one of the most important one, which is negotiate. I do believe families should make a digital safety contract with their child where they really talk through, like, here are the apps that we approve of, here are the apps we don't. Time happens here, putting boundaries around these things as you would anything else that would be dangerous in your home. So this
Yeah.
device has dangers. I am very tech positive. I don't believe we should be taking them away. I just believe we should be giving to them in a way that it keeps them safe. So this
Safe.
protocol on my website walks parents through direct steps on how to do that.
Yeah, and I'm sure, doing that as well, doing all this will take a lot of time. And I'm sure you sort of explain how parents can make time for all that and everything, right? In the book. So guys, obviously the link is in the description of this video. Click on that link and to get Abby's book. Is available worldwide. And
Yeah, all for free October 1st on my website.
great.
All free.
October 1st, that is the Independence Day of my country, Nigeria. Right. I'm
Happy
definitely going to be
Independence Day.
definitely going to be looking up to that. Even though I personally do not believe in Independence Day, I think the name should be changed to maybe something else. Because I don't actually believe that we're independent, but that is a totally different conversation. You can be an independent country when you depend on other countries for literally everything. But like I said, that's a different conversation. That I'll have
I
with
wish I knew more about the topic, but I'd love to learn.
Right. So let's just move on. How do you coach parents then? Let's talk about how you coach parents to understand their child's learning fingerprints, especially when the child resists labeling or testing.
I think you first bring empathy to the conversation because it's so hard to parent these days.
Yeah.
I personally don't think there's anything wrong with the child. I think there are things going around in the child's environment that's making that child react. So the first thing is empathy, honestly. And then when it comes to how to advocate for your child on every school environment, and as we started at the beginning of this podcast, talking about how boys have a
Yeah.
very hard in school. So sometimes, actually, a lot of times I'll meet with families and they'll be like, my girl is doing fine. My boy is broken because they have a boy and a girl and the difference for the parent. This is all they know. They have this girl who is able to go to school and like turn in a piece of paper and not be rambunctious. And this boy who's like zooming around the classroom and they think their child is broken. A
Yeah.
lot of it is just, it's an N of one. He might grow a little longer. It might take him a little bit. So my number one thing that I tell parents is like, you're doing a good job. Okay. Like a little love, a little empathy. You're doing fine. Okay. The kid's not broken and you will get through this. And yes, this too will pass. But when it comes to getting personalized solutions for your child, just get to know your child as a learner and leverage some of these tools. They're free. On my website, you can find them on like personalized learning solutions in the resource section. Go look at it. And also, if you have a personal question about your child that you need advice with, on my website, I have an Ask Abby section where you can drop in your question and I will personally respond.
Mm, mm. I mean, is it, does it surprise you how much, parents do not know their kids these days? Is there anything surprising about that?
No, because to get to know your kids, it takes time and attention. And it's not just the kids that we're protecting, as you mentioned, from the digital world, but also ourselves. So when I look at my screen time, I know that I'm spending, like, by the way, I am terrible at this, right? So my attention is being taken away and it's being put elsewhere. It's happening to every American household. It is an epidemic. How do we fix it? Can we have conversations about it? I'm very excited about some things that are happening. For the first time, every state in this country of America has some sort of legislation banning cell phones in schools.
Mhm.
Does Great Britain? I believe they do, or I know
Yeah,
France
yes.
does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. They
Okay, so we're starting to put guardrails around and we're getting smarter. It's taken forever, I would argue criminally so, but the conversation is happening.
yeah. Maybe we'll touch on some of the shootings that are happening in America and why things like that happen. But, wh- what do you think, in your opinion, causes things? Well, let's talk about it now. What do you think, in your opinion, causes kids to be, I would say, radicalized in that sort of way?
So school shootings is probably like, oof, wasn't expecting us to go there because it makes me really sad.
Yeah.
Because it's an American born thing. Like this is our country's thing. I'll never forget when I was traveling in Mexico and I was talking to a woman. I was actually helping to open a school in that country. And she was saying how you need so much security because of child kidnappings. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, wow. That's terrible. I don't think I could ever live in Mexico. And she looked at me like dead in the eyes. She's like, school shootings?
Yeah.
Man, yeah,
Yeah. You
yeah, you're
came back
right.
real quick.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Who should I be talking? Like, yeah, America has to look internally as to why this is happening now. We have an issue with the access to guns now, but unfortunately, we can't blame it there because most school shootings are done with registered guns. Like, two
Yeah. Yeah.
mental health checks on guns, I firmly believe in. Why this is happening, I don't know. It makes me very sad. It talks about a lack of valuing of life, a
Yeah.
real lack of identity of our youth, that they want to belong to something or they're
Oh
so
my God.
angry. It concerns me greatly. And I think it's the most red hair. It's like the warning sign for America, right? And like something we
Yeah.
should be taking seriously. It's so interesting to hear the international perspective that you're looking at and be like, yeah, America, you should take that seriously.
Yeah, yeah. I think it comes from the breaking down of the families. I think, back in the day, if you think about it very well, the family used to be the most important unit of, but these days, there is this conscious, and I think it's very conscious by whatever powers to sort of break down the families and make them irrelevant. And I think that's why, parents are always working, always busy. They don't have time for kids. And then at the end of the day,
Yeah.
the kids end up growing up on their own. They are somewhere on the internet and they have these people who are sort of giving them all the love and affection online. And then At the end of the day, tell them to do this, do that, do this, and you get this. And then before you
I
know
kind of
it,
agree. What I find really scary, and but I understand it, is this. I was watching this yesterday about millennials and elder Gen Z choosing not to have children at all
yeah,
because of what, right? But that's also like really concerning,
yes,
like, yeah, having a family and having children gives you a perspective and ability to be part of society. I couldn't agree with you more.
exactly. And that's probably one of the areas that I might agree with our dear president, President Trump. There are other areas where I don't agree, but when he talks about family and all this, I agree a little bit because I'm also sort of a family sort of person and all that. So parents out there, be vigilant and be on the watch out. Make sure that you know what your kids are doing.
Yeah, and why I just want to be clear to parents. It's scary, but I'm here to help. I'm not fear mongering. I have actual solutions for you on this website that will just help you have a little more peace of mind. And we're in it together, parents. We're in it together.
Yeah, yeah. But so just moving on that, but what's a mistake well-meaning parents make in trying to personalize for their children, and how would you course correct it?
Yeah. So I think when in the realm of being a good parent, we're trying to like adapt into our child. And there's been this movement of like, my child is a special snowflake kind of thing, right? When I mean personalize, I mean help bring equity in education and allow the kid who doesn't learn the way the standard way to get education in the way that allows them to thrive. I don't mean that every child should be hovered over and protected. Like, here's something I don't agree with. Here's a great example. Giving everyone a ribbon at a race or a competition. Everyone wins, right? I don't agree with that. No,
Yeah,
there's a winner. There's a gold. Maybe there's 3 winners, but no, there's no participation trophies in life.
trophy. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And by the way, it's actually very hard to break. I'll give a personal anecdote about this. I ran a very prestigious private school in New York City at one point, and we had an incredible chess tournament. And when I took over looking at the finances, I saw that we were buying everyone trophies. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Instead of buying everyone's trophy, we're going to increase the size of this to bring in more learners and scholarships. This should not be controversial. Parents stopped coming to our event because their child did not get a trophy. And we actually started losing money because of this policy. So parents, this is not good. Turn it around. This is not protection. This is not personalization. This isn't, oh, my child needs to be protected from the dangers of the world. No, your child needs to be equipped for the world, and they will fail. They will not always win.
Yeah, yeah. Apt. I mean, there's nothing else to add to that point there. Everyone doesn't win in life. You don't always win. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And I think it's always good for parents, guys. It's always good to be honest with your kids, make them understand the differences so that you equip them more. But if you delude them with all these shenanigans, when they go out there, then it's a shock to them because they think, oh, what's up? Where's my trophy? They're confused, they have issues, and this is part of the problem we have in society today. Right. Let's talk about systems, equity, and impact. Equity often means giving more resources to the ones who need it, not giving everything equally. So, how do you build fairness into a personalized system? Is there a way to build sort of fairness?
It's happening. A personalized system is fair inherently by its very nature, right?
Nature.
Sally is going to get Math 101 in her native language, maybe to help her get to be able to graduate, right? To give her the proficiency in her mathematical skills, while Henry can get Algebra 8, and they could both be sitting in the same class at sometimes. I think by nature,
Yeah.
personalization will solve all equity.
Yeah. Yeah. How about for those who want to shift their local schools, community, or company culture towards personalization? What is the first move they can take today to start that process?
Okay, so if you are in a public school and you want to just first of all, your public school might already be doing that. There's beautiful grants happening. I happen to be in a public school district that has an AI initiative grant. So I'm feeling it already. Our students are integrating these skills and learning things and getting personalized lesson adapted to them. So I'm thrilled. I'm in the public schools, maybe your public schools, so it might already be happening. But there are wonderful websites I'm not going to list them all, but there are wonderful websites on my website that are free where you can give your child after school 30 minutes on this app that'll allow them to maybe fill in those gaps that might just be chugging along in a one-size-fits-all classroom that you're currently operating in.
Right. So guys, check out Abby's website, link in the description below. And there's so many resources on there. And don't also forget, you get the free book on the 1st of October. It's a win-win,
Yes.
guys. If you know what it takes to write a book, then you would really appreciate having a book free on the internet. Abby, honestly, you deserve a round of applause.
We got to do it. We got to help our parents thrive in this digital age. For the
Yeah.
exact reason you said, we can't have more families breaking up, and the digital age with their children is actually leading to more dysfunction in
Yeah.
the family unit. So this book
Society.
is for humanity. So yeah,
Yeah.
free.
That is awesome. As we approach home stretch now, let's talk on sort of resilience and legacy and some stories. Your journey obviously includes both education, innovation, and deeply personal challenges, which I think you also started with some of them today. Which setback has taught you the most about designing systems that truly care?
I think so my son, when he was in pediatric cancer treatment, he was not responding to chemo. And he was already like an outlier for getting this, and now an outlier within the cohort. So he was in a cohort of students that shared nothing in common with him, not even age, not even sex, nothing common, not even where the tumor originated, but a diagnosis of neuroblastoma. And he was on a protocol with him. And my son was not responding to treatment. And we had to continue, even though it cost him his hearing, we had to continue going with the treatment because he was on a protocol. And if we didn't finish the protocol, we couldn't get to the immunotherapy. Well,
Yeah.
why is that a message? If we did precision care, in that case study, we'd say, oh, this kid's chemo resistant. He's not responding. Let's take him off and move him into the immunotherapy phase. But that's not how education works, right? I can't pull Sally out of that classroom. That classroom's already moved on. Okay, she's in
Yeah.
4th grade now. So that was like my aha moment where I saw, right, Sally's probably going to be okay. Like, she won't be good at math, but like, she'll find her passion. But like, this was life or death. This was my kid's life. And it was like my moment of like, whoa, what are we doing here? We can do this. There's nothing stopping us from moving toward a precision-based model. And now with AI, we have no excuse not to.
It's hard to do it. Yeah. Right. Yeah, AI is gonna switch things up a little bit. So let's talk about legacy then. And I'm not talking money here or what people call success, but what sort of legacy what would your legacy look like when you're no more? What would you like to be remembered for?
Remember for saving the kids. No. What do I want to be remembered for? Actually, I would like to be remembered when people say like, she was blank, a critical thinker. I hope that's the first thing people say, because I think that's the most important attribute that one could have. So I hope that my legacy is not only being a critical thinker, but modeling critical thinking for others and helping others become critical thinkers. So I think that's what an educator is. So my job is to help people craft their own ability and hone that skill of critical thinking.
Awesome. Yeah. That's a great legacy to leave, I think. So, just to sort of the final question that I have for you before you have a chance to ask me something and then you give us your final thoughts. Let's just assume that, education has a personality and, technology has a personality, right? Would education be a friend or a foe? So why do you think education would be an ally, friend, or an adversary to education, and why?
I think technology will be an ally. It will be able to offload what we don't do well currently and do it
Yeah.
better. And it will allow us to do things that we say we can't do. Right. Like in my public school, there's really no visual arts program, like not one that I would consider. That's a time thing, right? Don't have the time, don't have the time. Let's take control of time. Technology can help us do that and allow our kids to have maybe tech-free days even, right? Where they're just doing AI module for an hour and then they're completely in person doing hands-on learning, solving problems and doing things that actually matter. So
Mm.
I think in education, it will be an ally. Now, that is only if educators like myself and other people in leadership recognize that AI is here and start working with it as an ally instead of protecting and pretending that we can continue doing what we've always been doing. We can't continue doing this 4-year degree for hundreds of thousands of dollars that doesn't have a return on investment. That no longer works.
Wow.
So stop protecting it. And that's my issue with my peers. I feel like we're protective over what we do instead of saying,
Yeah,
well, this isn't working. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, the conventional ways, no longer works, to be
No, it's
honest.
not going to work. And that's what's so cool about Nigeria. So I'm finding that places like Nigeria versus the United States and Great Britain and America think that we know education. We are the best at it. People come from all over the world. Our institutions are the most important and they're doing it right and they're right. Nigeria is saying, you know what? We have more ways. We have we have a teacher shortage for real, and same in America too, but a real teacher shortage in Nigeria. We can play around and we are open to new models. And that willingness is really leading the way in education. So I actually see more progress happening in countries you would normally not think of.
Okay. Right. Well, I mean, I guess I'm gonna have to sort of find some of those progress because I can't see a lot of it. But obviously, it's always good to look
I'll send you after
outside.
this the ones that I know of. But, to your point, I don't know Nigeria well. Maybe it's like this one school, but whoever's doing it is having fantastic results.
Fantastic. Oh, okay, that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be good to dig into that. We've that's sort of the end of questioning, but I usually like my guests to ask me one question, and then one would do that. I'll have the time to like explain to us if you have a book coming up or a program, masterclass, or anything. So, what question do you have for me today?
Yeah.
Abby?
I always have the same question. I want to understand someone better. And it is, how did you like school? What was your school experience?
I didn't expect that question, but yeah, it was good sometimes. It was fun sometimes. It wasn't good other times. I think one thing I can maybe say to maybe parents as well listening or whoever is listening is, especially in the earlier times, I didn't really understand what I was doing. It was just this routine. You have to go to school and study this, study that. I didn't understand, okay, why am I going to school? What is the purpose? What am I seeking to achieve? Sometimes I would say this is also sort of this responsibility falls as well in the foot of parents to explain, make their kids, make their words to understand what they are doing and be able to guide their children to try and find out what their interests are so that in the end they can zero in into those interests as they grow older. So yeah, I think for me it was good sometimes, some other times it was boring. I always looked up to maybe playing football or playing some other sports with my mates. I would say. Um
Very
and that's
important.
that's
Yeah.
what I would say
It's
really.
always interesting to me to hear people's school stories because there's so many things that you can learn and grab from them. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So, Abby, thanks a lot for coming on the podcast. It's been a pleasure having you on. So, do you have any event coming up? Maybe a show, a masterclass, or if you have your own podcast, obviously your
Yes.
website.
On my website, you're going to find resources, including an e-course. This one is targeted to the person who's never been on AI. I don't think they're your podcast listener, but they might have a grandma or a mother or a sister or someone in their life. Everyone needs to experience AI. You can't opt out of this. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not techie. I hear that one a lot. I'm not techie. I'm like, okay, but this is going to be part of your life forever. So you
exactly. You
need to
have to be
understand
now.
it. Yeah. So it's for that person. It is like, I'm going to teach you how to even write a prompt and open the app. Like, I'm there for you. So, and then of course, digital safety. And I write a lot about topics, including a lot of things that you brought up in your childhood experience in education. I write a lot about what the future of education will look like and be if people are interested.
Yeah. Awesome. Right. So guys, obviously check out Abby's website, abbybrody.com. And, watch out for that, that book that drops on the 1st of October, which is Nigeria's Independence Day. And then also maybe subscribe to her newsletter as well. Support her. We're going to have links to her LinkedIn or all of that things in the description of this video below. There are also lots of links on there to some of my affiliate programs, partnerships. Do support me on there as well, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment. If you have any questions for Abby, put it in the comment section below and I will make sure that I get those questions across to her. Abby, it's been a wonderful time. It's been a privilege. Your story, your mission, your clarity are gifts to my audience. And guys, to all of you out there, don't forget to stay curious, stay bold, and keep building learning systems and legacies that will empower the next generation. Guys, until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless.